Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. We come to you on what was a very, very bizarre early Sunday in the NFL. I mean, there's some weird days, but this one might have taken the cake. The Giants got payback, and unfortunately, a lot more against the Eagles. Listen, the Giants reveled. They reveled in that win against the Eagles a couple of weeks ago on Thursday night. It really was their coming out party. They were very loud. They were loud in the post game on TV. I know the Eagles didn't take well to it. I understand that, but the Eagles waited, and in that game, the Eagles were punished by the Giant running game led by Skattebo, and they couldn't run the ball, which has been emblematic of their problems this season. And as I told you before, I said Eagles need to run the ball, and everything will be okay. Today they didn't have Brown. They decided we're running the ball. We're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. We're going to use our tight ends more in blocking schemes this week. You didn't see Goddard be featured in the offense very much, although he did catch 3 passes, 2 were for touchdowns. But it was a very different Eagle team, and it started that way from the get-go when right at the start of the game, Barkley goes 65 yards on a play that has to be defended better than it was. I mean, I understand they caught him. They had the double team block. They got a nice lane to run through, but you got to make a play. Somebody's got to make a play. They didn't even get a hand on him the rest of the way for a 65-yard touchdown. And it was just emblematic on their way to 277 yards rushing. When you say that number, when somebody rushes for 277 yards, there's nothing else to discuss in the game. I mean, you have dominated the game in a very big way. The Eagles did that. Now, the Giants didn't have a running game because we know what happened. Would this have been a different game if he was there? Well, they were going to have to do a lot better. And I really believe this, folks. I'm not giving the Giants any excuses for the drop balls today. All right. And they had 2 big drops that should have been big plays on really good passes. And that was Slayton and Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson has a habit of dropping the ball. But the Skattebo injury absolutely devastated the squad. And I think it probably devastated the metropolitan area. We all know how popular Skattebo has become. And I felt one of the things that couldn't happen the rest of the way was that Dart and Skattebo could not go down with injury. And now Skattebo goes down in a game where he's already scored a touchdown, goes down with a devastating, you don't even want to look at it. You want to avert your eyes, ankle injury. I'm not even going to guess at the extent of this injury. It's clearly a complete dislocation of the ankle. He could have other issues. He could have other ligament damage. He could have other breaks. I don't know what it was. When I looked at it, his foot was all the way out here. So I don't know what the heck went on. But you knew it was a devastating, catastrophic injury. And I just hope the kid can come back healthy from that injury and still have a good career, because that's a lot of injury. This is a serious injury he suffered today. And again, I'm not going to speculate until we hear from the doctors exactly. I'm sure he's undergoing surgery this evening. I don't even think they'll wait. I'm sure the bones broke the skin. I don't even think there's an issue there. So clearly he was probably vanned up to special surgery and is being operated on as we speak, I would think. So we'll wait to hear exactly what happened. To say that it had an impact on the team would be the understatement of all time. You could see it in Dart. You could feel it in the entire team. I'm not making excuses for the Giants today. The Eagles were going to be a handful. They wanted to pay the Giants back. They did pay the Giants back. They deserve the win in every way. I'm not. That's not the point here. The point is that these two kids had completely transformed the spirit, the optimism of this franchise. And it is going to be very lonely for Dot the rest of the season without the elite receiver and now without his sidekick. It's going to be a lot harder. And their running game is going to have a lot more problems. And they had been running the ball with Dot's running ability and Skattebo's running ability. They had been running the ball and passing the ball off the run exceedingly well. And that's going to be gone now. A lot of it's going to be gone. And it's going to mean more sacks and more hits for Dot the rest of the way. And it might take the Denver loss was a tough one, but there was still optimism in that game. The Philly loss is such a devastating downer that these next 4 games against the Niners, against the Bears, against the Packers, and against Detroit are going to be very, very hard. That run that was started when he took over at quarterback, that transformation that started when he took over at quarterback has been slowed. It doesn't mean he's still there, Thought. He's still there at quarterback. They'll try to fit some pieces around him. But this is the one thing he couldn't have happen was Skattebo had to stay in the lineup. And now he not only isn't in the lineup, but he didn't turn an ankle and he didn't, tweak a hammy. He has an injury that I would think is a year if it's a day, maybe even more. You don't want to see anybody get hurt in football. But this kid had so captured the imagination of this town in such a short time that it's just heartbreaking that it happened to him. Heartbreaking. We know football's an injury game, okay? I go watch my son play, and he's playing Division III football. And my wife still prays before every game. She walks the track and prays just because she's always worried, that somebody's going to get hurt or he's going to get hurt. Football players get hurt. Mothers and wives and girlfriends, they worry about that stuff. If you play football, you don't worry about it, but you know it's there. Sometimes we're reminded in a big way when you see these devastating injuries, and this is a rough one. This is a rough one. There've been a lot of injuries in this league this year, a lot, but this one was just sad, and especially happening to him because he was such a power source, such a source of optimism and energy and good, positive toughness for the Giants. And they'll miss him. Heck, they missed him already. Tough. Really tough. As far as the game, hey, I didn't expect they'd rebound after that happened. They shut down the running game. They sacked the quarterback. Giants had a couple opportunities. He threw good balls and they were dropped. Could have been big plays. But you can't even do anything that's going to be worthwhile when you give up 277 yards rushing. Question that I had when I was watching it is, if the Giants sink back into the abyss where Dart's getting beat up every week. They don't have any energy in running game, and they have a lot more days like this. Does it make Dable vulnerable? I think as long as Dart's doing what Dart does, and I think there's no lesser feeling about Dart, I think Dable will be back with Dart. And I think in terms of overall team performance, the fact that they've lost their elite receiver and lost Skattebo tells you everything, that you need to know. I mean, how many key players can you lose without it impacting your team? On top of that, you have the Jets. Now, this might offend Jet fans, but the thing I take out of this game today is whether or not they're contemplating just absolutely throwing away the coaching staff in Cincinnati. Because how do you possibly trade for a quarterback after you lose Burrow? Browning's not doing the job. The season's over. You trade for Flacco, you go to Pittsburgh and you win. You're 3-4 and you're saying, hey, I'm going to get to 4-4 against the Jets. And then I can take a run at making the playoffs, salvage the season. But my defense has got to get better. I brought in a defensive guy, and I'm not getting the results I want. It's not happening. It's just not happening. And I know Al Golden. He came with a reputation. But the bottom line is that defense today was mortifyingly embarrassing. There is no other word for it. Listen, the Jets had no Wilson. Okay. Hall played well. But how many receivers were left wide open? How many missed tackles were there in the backfield? How many running plays that should have gone for 3 or 4 yards went for 30 and 40 yards? And you had a 31-16 lead in the fourth quarter against an 0-7 team that came into the game not being able to even put one foot in front of the other on offense. And now all of a sudden they're this juggernaut with Fields at quarterback because Taylor couldn't play today. Are we serious? And I look at this game and I don't say, wow, what did the Jets do to improve their offense? I say, can Cincinnati be possibly this bad on defense? Is it even possible that they could be this bad on defense? To allow the Jets 39 points? The Jets, who couldn't complete a pass, who couldn't get a first down. I mean, Fields was 21 of 32 for 244 yards. Are we serious? The Jets had 5. This is actually a real number. 502 yards of offense. They had 254 yards rushing. This defense, somebody's head's going to roll. I mean, that's how bad this loss is. That's absolutely how bad this loss is. Now, for the Jets, they won a game. Great. Do I think better of the Jets today than I did yesterday? No, I really don't. I'm sorry. I really don't. Okay, did some of the backups come to the fore today and, make a couple of plays? Yeah. I already like Taylor at tight end. So the fact that, he made some catches today and had a touchdown from Hall of all people, um, fine. That Davis and Johnson made a couple of plays, fine. Okay. That Hall got 133 yards rushing. Well, I've seen Hall do this before. Do I look at it like the Jets finally got together and they burned the midnight oil and they came up with an offense? No. I think Cincinnati felt that, hey, we can score at will against this Jet team. So you know what? We could take the day off offensively, defensively. And they did until it was 31-16. And then, you know what? The Jets kept scoring. It was 38-24. And the Jets came right down the field. They almost broke the kickoff. They come down the field. I understand why Aaron Glenn went for two. We went for two so that he could win the game with an extra point if he scored one, if he got a stop and a score. He wanted to be in a position to win the game. Okay. If not, he'd take his try with a 2-point conversion to tie the game later. He challenged it. He wound up being right. Okay. Kudos to him. And then he gets the winning score and wins it 39-38. Great plane ride home for the Jets. They're not going winless. Okay. It was a good day for Glenn. A couple of coaches who were really on the hot seat this week had really good days. Glenn did. Miami obviously did, although I would think Arthur Blank must be probably being restrained right now with what's going on in Atlanta. To have Atlanta, a team that people were looking at as a bona fide playoff contender 2 weeks ago. Yes, their cornerback was hurt today. Yes, London didn't play today. But to be absolutely run out of the building by the Dolphins, who came in 1-6, and everybody said the coach was going to be gone in the middle of the week. Only in the NFL. You had the Jets, who could not move the football from here to there. They go to Cincinnati today, and they get 39 points. How would you like to be Al Golden? How would you like to be the defensive coordinator or even be the head coach and realize that you just allowed the Jets not only 39 points, but you allowed them to come back 2 touchdowns on you in your own building in the fourth quarter in a game you desperately needed to win? I mean, if I'm an owner and I'm sitting there, I'm fit to be tied after this game because do you know how many missed tackles I watched? Do you know how much bad defense? I understand their star player was out. Do you know how much bad? I mean, we all know Bengals don't have a good defense, but to watch that lack of effort, to watch them getting blown off the ball 10 and 15 yards where they're catching running backs 10 and 15 yards down the field. The Jets didn't just score, they scored like this. I mean, the Jets were scoring time after it's the Jets. Scoring time after time after time. So, excuse me if I don't think that the Jets have found the magic potion, okay? And all of a sudden their offense now is going to click without Wilson. Okay? Without who they deemed probably their second best receiver. But now they put a bunch of guys in and leave Hall in there and obviously have Taylor burgeoning as a tight end. And all of a sudden they score 39 points and come from 2 touchdowns and come from 15 points down in the fourth quarter to win the game on the road. So at least now the Jets don't have to worry about the just the embarrassment of going 0 for the season. And honestly, I told you, it's hard to lose them all. I thought they'd win a game. Did I think it would be this week? I did not. And as Cincinnati scored throughout the day, one, then boom, and kept their distance. When they went back up 31-16, I thought they were in command. If they got one stop, the game would be over. But they couldn't get one stop. So if you were that, pie-eyed, just absolute optimistic, everything is wonderful Jet fan, enjoy and revel in it. Forget all the problems of the first 7 weeks. Don't worry about anything else, and just think that it's now seashells and balloons the rest of the way. I'm not buying. And buying is big trouble in Cincinnati. Big trouble in Cincinnati. Players who place a qualifying same-game parlay of at least $10 on eligible NFL and NCAA football games will receive one standard entry into the weekly Squares game. The Squares game is fun to play. You add a little bit more to your wager, you get more squares. That's the way it works. Winning standard squares will be awarded a prize of $20 bonus bet. See app and website for more details. Check it out because it just adds a little enhancement to your football day. The early games today, and remember, it was a weird schedule. Jets and Giants were playing at the same time. Both were on the road. You had a lot of teams off this week. And you had a lot of, the Dolphins win 34-10 at Atlanta. Pence didn't play. Obviously, Cousins didn't play well, and London wasn't there. You had the Patriots doing what they do now on a weekly basis, winning again, going, up the ladder on their way to the playoffs, and they are there every step of the way. The Giants were in Carolina today. Bryce Young was out. Bills got an enormous performance from Cook today. 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they won 40-9 to keep pace for the most part with the Patriots, who right now are in first place by virtue of the fact that they've played an extra game and by virtue of the fact that they've beaten the Bills this year already. The Bills and the Chiefs, who play tomorrow night, will meet next week in Buffalo, 425, must watch. Week 9, we'll get a little bit of an idea where the two teams stand. Buffalo, early on today, again, you were wondering a little bit about Josh, and what was going on. But the running game clicked. They made a couple of big plays on defense, and the next thing you know, they had a romp. Ravens beat the Bears today. Bad loss for the Bears because Lamar didn't play. Hey, a lot of people, and really there's not much they could do. And I have to admit, I was one of them. Okay? When they announced on Friday that Lamar was starting, and that he went through the full practice on Friday and he was starting, I had picked them in my Francesa 5 this week, and I made a wager on the Ravens. I thought that this might be the healthiest they'd be all year and that they would win convincingly today. When they announced that he wasn't playing, before you can move, the line goes off the board, and now the line comes back, and the Bears +2. Nothing you can do. You sit on your bet. You're not going to compound it by doing something stupid that you leave yourself a chance to lose both bets. So you just realize it happens. That's a risk of betting early. There was a lot of controversy about why they said that. They said they put out a statement this morning. We watched them go through practice fully on Friday. We thought every indication he was going to play. After that, on examination, we felt he wasn't ready to play, and we made the call. There was a story, I don't know whether it's factual or not, that the Ravens wanted Lamar to play today. And when he practiced on Friday, Now, again, I can't vouch for the story. It's out there, but I can't confirm it. That they said he went through practice and that he would start on Sunday before they talked to Lamar, and that Lamar got mad. I don't know, and then said he wasn't playing. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not taking anything away from Lamar. He's a great player, and if he's healthy, he's playing and he's going to play well. Whether the Ravens handled it poorly and he got angry, I don't know. But the bottom line is he didn't play, and it made for a weird situation. But they wind up winning the game by 2 scores anyway. So if you were one of those people and there was a lot of money wagered on the Ravens on Friday, you won your bet. The Texans needed to have a win against the Niners. They did today. 26-15. That keeps them alive, though they've been disappointing. And tonight, right now in the other games, you have the Colts, who are rolling again, the Broncos, who have jumped out on the Cowboys, and the Saints and the Buccaneers. So those are the afternoon games. And then you have a good one tonight, as Green Bay will play Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, and that should be fun. It's not a revenge game. He's been out of Green Bay long enough. He already said he's going to retire as a Packer. Okay, so that's not what this is about. It's just fun that he's playing the Packers. That's all. And whenever Green Bay and Pittsburgh get together, it's a traditional game. Two of the great franchises. Okay, two of the prolific franchises in NFL history. So it makes for a good game. Monday night game, Kansas City, Washington, no Daniels. And Kansas City banged up on the offensive line. I don't think that'll be a big issue. First of all, they like some of the stuff that some of the other new guys have done. Number two, I just don't think this is the game that's going to bother them that much. And not having Daniels completely changes who Washington is in every single way. So I think Kansas City will roll and be on a winning streak as they roll into Buffalo next week in a much anticipated Sunday afternoon battle before the nation in Buffalo next week at 4:25. So everybody is looking forward to that one, and why not? There's certain games that highlight the schedule. That's obviously one of them. I don't think there's anything else next week that is that exciting. Colts and the Steelers isn't bad, but the Chiefs and Bills will be very, very interesting. Jets now can take a win into their bye, which will at least give them a chance to have a few smiles in what has been a very unhappy season. So good for them. Congratulations to the Jets. They got their win. Does it change anything I think about the Jets? It does not. I'm sorry. I put this all at the feet of the Cincinnati defense, and I would want answers. I really would want answers for that performance today, because it was utterly embarrassing. I mean, if I were part of that Cincinnati organization, I would be furious with what I saw from that defense today. Furious. That's how bad it was. That's how unbelievably inept it was. Hey, it's not easy to make the Jets look good. And they made the Jets look really good. They made them look like a juggernaut. They're coming down the field play after play after play. Last week they couldn't complete a pass. Unbelievable, really. But the headline of the day is just such an unfortunate situation, and that is the Skattebo injury. It really took so much, so much out of this team, and it's so sad, because what he and thought were as a tandem bringing to this city and to that franchise was so intoxicating and so special that you didn't want it to stop. and now it's been stopped by a devastating injury. Dart needs to manufacture some of that magic by himself right now, but it's not going to be easy without his sidekick. And you could almost sense that from him. You didn't see. Listen, he's young. He can be emotional. This is his buddy. This is the guy that he's kind of come to the fore with, and is trying to change things together. And they were doing it. They were doing it, but just did not want to see what happened. The other thing today was maybe if you want to, and again, I don't know what the Jet players knew today or didn't know today about Nick Mangold. If they did and that was somehow a motivating force for them, then good for them. Very, very sad. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we heard the plea from Nick Mangold that he was in desperate need of a donor, that he was very ill. Now, today we learned this morning that he had passed at the age of 41. 41. 41 just doesn't seem fair. We know what kind of player he was. It goes without saying. We know what kind of football career he had. He will long be remembered for his performance on the field and for being a good guy. You think about his family. You think about his 4 kids. And you just hope that God blesses him and, you know, they're taken care of in the years to come. 41 years old. Very sad. You can't say unexpected because we know what the plea was. I did not realize it could be this quick. But really sad news. Like we said, you send your prayers and your blessings to his family, to his wife, to his 4 kids who are young, and may he rest in peace at the age of just 41 years of age. Nick Mangold, who grew up not too far from where the Jets played today. So interesting when you think about it. So a positive day for the Jets, a tough day for Jet fans everywhere with the passing of Mangold, and a tough day for the Giants, obviously, as they are overrun by the Eagles and, more importantly, lose one of their real spark plugs, their incredibly popular rookie running back, Skattebo, for the season. And hopefully we send him our best, and hopefully it's an injury that he can come back from. We'll see you later.